and welcome to another episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock, and to start today's show out, we're going to talk a little bit about cross country. Joining me is head coach Brett Crowley, along with Grace Yetton and Seth Prince. How are you guys today?
Great, thank you.
Well, thanks for joining me, first of all, Coach. It's been a busy couple weeks. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, well, thanks for having us again. It has been a busy couple weeks. We've had 2 meets, and we're about to have a third here the first few days in October. We did extremely well at Indiana Wesleyan after our accomplishments in the Red Wolf Rumble. We backed that up with both men's and women's team excelling. Grace resetting the school record on the women's side, and then Seth being about 10 seconds from the men's record overall. IUE was a very fast, flat course for us, and we had great contributions all the way around from all team members that particular day. 9 Red Wolves either set a season best or a personal best that day. So all in all, that was a very good day, and that backed into Purdue, where we went to the Indiana Intercollegiates and competed against Indiana's best, and acquitted ourselves in a very, very muddy track. West Lafayette had a lot of rain, and again, even though the women's race was shortened a little bit to 3 miles, not the traditional 3.1, Grace and her teammates did very, very well. And Seth being under the weather, and we had somebody get hurt during that particular race, again, we were able to defeat several teams, including some NCAA Division III schools. So all in all, two good weeks, two really good meets.
Well, sounds like it was great. Let's start out talking a little bit about the Indiana Wesleyan there on September 12th. Grace and Haley Rogers also, they had the 2 fastest times in school history. Grace, what was that like for you being able to run a 19:58?
That was very exciting because I've never run that fast before, so to be able to do that in college at a meet was a lot of fun. It was very hard too, but it was good.
Now, Coach, what was it like for you to see Grace put up a 19:58 time, and also Haley Rogers with the 20:26?
Well, along those lines, Grace and Haley have been pacing each other in practice, so it's been unique to see both teammates working very closely together, along with Morgan Stanley, who finished just slightly behind Haley and Grace. But to see Grace streaming across the finish line and watching the clock, and knowing that again a school record had fallen in that particular day was very heartwarming and very pleasing to see across the board. And Haley not very far behind. Both Grace and Haley set really good paces that day, and challenged the course and challenged the Indiana Wesleyan runners very well.
All right, Seth, you had a little bit of a record yourself. You broke the 27-minute mark for the first time with a 26:55 8K. Tell us a little bit about that.
It was very nice being able to break that kind of barrier for me. I've had it last year, being 27 flat was my PR. I just couldn't seem to get under that, and just to have there at Marion, it was a fast course, and I really liked it. Wish I could go back next year, but.
Now, what was it like being able to see him do that?
Across the board, for a senior in his last year, anytime, our time is pretty short from this standpoint. Only several meets to go from a cross-country standpoint, and to see Seth reach one and being within eyesight of one of his goals to accomplish, not only being and holding the school record, but pushing his teammates also to be better, and to see not only Seth but 4 other Red Wolves, not too terribly far behind. All setting their own season best was very, very, very positive across the board.
You keep talking about some of these setting their best. One of those was Dylan Cope. He had a PR of 27:44. What was that like for Dylan?
Dylan continues to set the pace. He continues to be our speed merchant a little bit from that standpoint. Again, Dylan's come a long way. A year ago, most of his cross-country races were more in the 30-minute range. The work that he's put in, along with our entire team, he's gotten stronger and has been able to hold the pace a little bit better. He has a tendency to really run the first couple of miles in a 5-mile race really extremely hard, which his teammates have told him to be a little bit more conscious of. That day he kept an even pace all the way around. And took advantage of a very fast, flat course, and that obviously worked well to his advantage.
Now, the men's team placed 4th and the women's team placed 5th. Would you consider that a good day or a bad day for them?
I consider that a very good day. Again, we're mostly concerned at this point in time about finishing our races, setting good times, And every race that we get to attend, regardless of where we place, is a build-up and a lead into the conference meet. Everything that we do is in preparation for that particular event. So even though, again, Indiana Wesleyan at home, they had over 30 runners, both men's and women's teams. Grace and Goshen colleges both brought some excellent squads that day. We still acquitted ourselves very well. So you have to look a little bit beyond the place and look at our times from that standpoint. If both teams were able to continue that sort of effort each time out, we'll be extremely competitive when it comes conference time.
All right, from there you had the Indiana Intercollegiates meet at Purdue University. How did that go overall?
Overall, I think we did some really good things across the board. Unique to, when we got there, we found out the women's race was going to be a little bit shorter. The course was extremely wet, very muddy. There were divots on the cross-country course bigger than the divots that I make with my golf clubs. All in all, though, I think we ran the course well. We had studied it at the same juncture in time. I think the back part of the race where it was muddy, we had to adjust a little bit. But our women's team, again, very consistent times across the board. Teresa Hilsman and Alexis all had, again, season bests as our 4 and 5 runners, and with several other teammates getting healthy here in the next few weeks. Future's very bright for the women's XC team. The guys, similar circumstance. We still placed 3 of our men with times in around 28 or less. Missed having a 4th. Kyle Hall stepped in, but we were able to defeat several Division III schools, including our crosstown neighbors, Earlham, from that standpoint. And that's a good lead-in, good positive, heading towards the Earlham meet.
Well, you just mentioned the Earlham Invite, and I want to get a little input from you two. What do you two expect to see at the Earlham Invite? Grace, we'll start with you.
I'm not really quite sure what to expect, this being my first year running here. We've done a few practices there, so I'm familiar with the course, so I know what to expect as far as that goes, but it seems like as far as other teams, I'm not quite sure.
Seth, how about you?
Well, I know Earlham's very well, and I've ran with the teams there, and actually during the intercollegiates, somehow their top runners and we all met up and we ran the race together. So it's kind of interesting for that race, and it's interesting since we all did that and we ran around the same time. The competition for Earlham is going to be a race to watch.
All right, Coach, how about you?
I'm very much looking forward to it. Earlham is going to be their conference's host for their conference meet, and so various schools in their conference, from Rose-Hulman to Hanover, Anderson, Manchester, will all be present. It'll be a little bit larger than in years past in terms of numbers of runners, but it's an excellent opportunity anytime that you're at home, and I consider the Earlham meet a second home meet for us. Gives us a chance to prove and have our families and fellow students hopefully come out and support us. So it's a tough course. Horse Hill is not an easy hill to negotiate for the cross-country runners, and but we go over there quite a bit to practice, and I feel like we'll be well prepared and ready to go come Earlham Day, October the 4th.
All right, well, it sounds like it definitely should be a great meet. What are some things that you guys expect to see throughout the remainder of the season? Seth, we'll start with you this time.
I'm expecting to see some more fast times, some new school records again on both sides, hopefully. Really fast times, and overall the team, we're #1 in the polls, and I'm really feeling nationals for the team. So I can see it in our future.
All right, how about you, Grace?
I expect the team, we're all working very hard, and so dropping our times more and more, I think, is definitely possible. So I think we're just going to have a great rest of the season, so I'm looking forward to that.
All right, well, best of luck from all of us here at IU East for the rest of the season. We'll be right back with more Inside IU East Sports.
This is where a busy mom can work toward a bachelor's degree from a top national university during softball practice. It's where a service member can continue his college studies from anywhere in the world, and where you'll benefit from one of the country's most effectively delivered online programs.
Woohoo!
So, if you've ever wondered if a college education is really worth it, this is where you'll see that it is. This is Indiana University East Online.
And welcome back to Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock, and it is time for Wolf Smack. For those that don't know, Wolf Smack is where I'll ask my 3 guests a question. They have the opportunity to answer it. I'll choose the winner, and the winner gets 30 seconds of face time to promote whatever they would like. Joining me for Wolf Smack is cross-country head coach Brett Crowley, along with Grace Yetton and Seth Prince. The question is, if you had $1 million and could use it for any charitable cause you chose, what would you choose and why? Brett, we'll start with you.
They're going to make the coach go first. Not to be selfish, but I guess I have 2 causes. One would be from this standpoint, the American Cancer Society holds a special place in my family's heart. I have one cancer survivor in my family, my mother and my father, who unfortunately succumbed to lung cancer 3 years ago. So I think of any charitable cause that I can think of, contributing to that one would be certainly something very worthwhile. Along those lines, not to be selfish, but I'd love to contribute to us in our program if we have those types of resources. We can always use more equipment, new uniforms, track gear. It'd be nice to be able to provide for our athletes, spikes and things that they're having to incur those expenses. So that's a little selfish, I know, on my part, but same juncture in time, it'd probably be those 2 causes at the moment.
All right, Seth, how about you?
Well, if I had $1 million, I would also choose to donate to IU East. I would like to build us a track just out by the pond or the reservoir back there. It'd be nice, and with the leftover, I'd give back to the community, fix up some buildings, or give it to the Richmond. They've been Richmond High School. They've been very nice to us, and I'd like to give back to them.
All right, how about you, Grace?
If I had $1 million, I would probably donate it to this organization called IDES. It stands for International Disaster Emergency Services, and they, when like a disaster comes, they will take supplies or like food or medical supplies and help kind of rebuild that area while it's in devastation.
All right, well, definitely a tough decision, but I think pretty much all of us here definitely probably know somebody that has been affected by cancer in some way, or has had cancer, or has beat cancer. So Brett, we'll go with you as our winner. So
What do you know? I've won Wolf Smack now 3 times. Wow. Well, I guess my 30 seconds of fame, I'd like to give a special shout out to my family, again, to my mom, and also my sister and her family, and my 8-year-old niece, who I don't get to see very much. I appreciate your support, and I know you watch every now since you have Comcast. Every now and again, you get to see my mugshot on television. So hope everything's going well back in Cincinnati, and look forward to seeing you here real soon.
All right, well, thank you guys for joining me. You definitely have been great today. We'll be right back with more Inside IUE Sports.
Dylan Newman had a terrible dislocated shoulder after a bad dirt bike accident. The long-term solution, surgery and intense rehab.
I trusted Reed Orthopedics because they had already fixed my ankle. And within 4 months of my surgery, Dr. Miller and my Reed therapist, April, helped me to regain my motion and most of my strength. Thanks to Reed Ortho, I can get back to what I love. It's all about trust. Right, Dr. Miller?
Right here at Reed.
Right here in Richmond.
On November 4th, you'll be asked to cast a ballot for various local and statewide offices. Find out more about some of the local candidates by watching the In Focus election specials. Your questions for the candidates are welcome. We encourage every Wayne County resident to register and vote in the upcoming election. The In Focus election specials, presented by the Wayne County Area Chamber of Commerce and WCTV, Thursday nights at 6 p.m. on WGTV, Channel 11.
And welcome back to Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock. The IU East volleyball team had a 3-match week this past week, with the first one being at Earlham College. Morgan Gard was there and filed this report.
Early in the first game, our Wolves dominated. With many mistakes from the Quakers, the Wolves took a quick advantage and ran away with the first game 25-11. Mallory Livingston had an excellent first match.
Hey Mallory, great game today. What do you think about it? I thought it was overall a good win. It's always nice to come over here to Earlham because it's kind of like good crosstown rivalry, and we always have a lot of good fans here, so it was overall a good team win.
Okay, you guys had a great game tonight, but what do you think of your game?
Overall, I thought I did okay. My passing could have been a lot better. It was one of my off nights of service receive, but you know, you win some, you lose some there. So I thought I kind of tried to make up for it in the front row, so it was okay.
A lot of energy came from both teams in the second game. Keeping the score close, the Lady Wolves slid past Earlham, keeping at least a 5-point difference the rest of the game. With another score of 25-11, the second game, our Wolves were looking mighty fine going into the third game. With 2 already under their belts, the Wolves seemed unstoppable. Maddie Murphy came in for her first appearance as a Red Wolf. Hey Maddie, so this is your first NAIA game. What is the experience like?
Nerve-wracking, definitely, but I'm happy to be back playing, and back playing with Mal is probably the most exciting I was, and I don't know, it was awesome, honestly.
Did you have first game jitters at all?
Yes and no. I mean, I was at all the other matches, so I kind of got out at the sideline and playing in practice, but yeah, there was a little bit there, but not as much as I expected.
Are you enjoying playing with the girls?
Definitely. I was close to the girls last year, and definitely the freshmen that came in, we're all really close, so it's just awesome now getting out and playing with them. It's a great experience.
And what made you decide to do this? Like, come back out, play volleyball again?
Well, Mal was a big influence, and definitely the girls last year, and just the love to play volleyball again. I missed it a lot, and taking that year off, I wish I didn't, but I'm just glad to be back at it.
A close third game, the Wolves seem to have given the Quakers a glimpse of our weaknesses. However, our Wolves prevailed, winning in 3 games. Coach Niekamp had a couple things to say about how the girls performed and looking into the future. Hey Coach, so you guys had a great game today. What do you think of how it went?
I thought it was a great game for us. Like you said, the girls came out with a lot of energy and they played well together tonight.
Now, you did face Laura Crump, an IU East alumni. Do you think that had any effect on any of the girls?
No, I think they were excited to see her on the other side of the net, but they still brought the same energy that I think they would have without her over there.
Okay, Earlham's a D3 school. We're only NAIA. Do you think that had like any mental effect on the girls?
I don't think so. I think they came into this game seeing them as a crosstown rival and they really wanted to beat them.
Yeah, you definitely could tell they wanted to beat them. Tell me about that first game. Like, what were your thoughts on the first set?
I thought the girls started off a little bit slower than I wanted them to, but they picked it up and I think we finished well.
Thanks to Morgan for that report. Then on Saturday, the Red Wolves took on in-state opponents at home for the first time in exactly 2 months. The first time that IU East had been home in 2 months. That was against in-state opponents IU Southeast and Purdue Calumet. The Red Wolves improved their record to 5-9, 0-2 in the KIAC on Saturday. IU East opened up things at noon against IU Southeast, where the match went 5 sets. The Red Wolves lost 3-2 with scores of 25-23, 22-25, 25-21, 19-25, and 15-8. Mallory Livingston led the way for the Red Wolves with a new school record of 28 kills in a single match. This beat the previous record by 2 kills. Christina Detweiler also had 10 kills for our IU East Red Wolves, and Morgan Dobbs had a career of 18 kills. Madison Yoder from Ben Davis High School had 37 digs for the Red Wolves, which is also a career high. Mallory Livingston said that she is happy to have beaten the school record, but that they all did it together as a team. Now the Red Wolves fell 3-2 to IU Southeast, but they went on later that afternoon to beat Purdue Calumet in 4 matches, 3-1 with scores of 20-25, 25-15, 25-12, and 25-23. Let's take a look at the highlights. Dobbs up front for the Red Wolves. Ooh. And another point to the Red Wolves, 7-5. Here's Livingston. And this one's going to get out of play behind the official, 4-2. Steinbrenner with the kill up front for IU East, 12-9. Gives them the 3-point lead back. Here's Livingston with another kill. That's off the hands of number 4, Haley Smith. Yoder with the dig. Livingston for the Red Wolves. Blocked up front by Steinbrenner. Peregrine's able to keep the ball alive. Set by Yoder. Here's Steinbrenner. Off the hands of number 11 again. It's Kayla Alcia. Steinbrenner, this one's going to be inbounds with the kill, 24-22. And Red Wolves with the match point opportunity. Now the Red Wolves did convert the match point opportunity to win the match 3-1. We'll be right back with more inside IUE Sports. And welcome back to Inside IUE Sports. That sound that you just heard means that it is time for Wolf Center, which is where we take a look back at last week's IU East results and ahead to next week's schedule. You can download the Wolf House sound that you just heard for free by downloading the free IU East Athletics app to your iPhone or Android device. You can download it for free from the iTunes Store or from the Google Play Store. Now let's take a look back at last week's results. On September 13th, the women's golf team placed 13th at the USI Invite. Alex Van Wanzeel had a lowest 9-hole and 18-hole rounds in school history. On September 16th, the men's tennis team beat Franklin 5-4. Clay Ratliff won at number 3 doubles and at number 6 singles. On September 17th, the volleyball team won at Earlham 3-0. Morgan Steinbrenner had 6 kills and a .385 hitting average for the Red Wolves. On September 19th, the men's cross-country team placed 15th at the Indiana Intercollegiates Conference. Colin Burris had season best time of 30 minutes and 21 seconds. The women's cross-country team was also at the Indiana Intercollegiates meet, and they placed 16th. Grace Yetton placed 64th for the Red Wolves with a time of 20 minutes and 13 seconds. The women's tennis team fell to Brescia 9-0 on September 19th. Sabra Heathcox had her college tennis debut. The women's tennis team was also in action September 20th, where they fell to Carlo 7-2. Jordan Bowman won at number 2 singles. The IU East volleyball team fell to IU Southeast on September 20th with a score of 3-2. Mallory Livingston had a school record of 28 kills. On September 20th, the volleyball team also won that afternoon 3-1 against Purdue Calumet. Madison Mangus had 3 aces for the Red Wolves volleyball team. Now let's take a look at the upcoming schedule. On September 27th, the men's golf team will be at the Liberty Country Club for the Fall Invitational. This is the last home event of the fall for the men's golf team. The men's tennis team will be at home on September 20th at Glen Miller Park against St. Francis at 2:30 p.m. On September 27th, IU East Volleyball will be at Brescia. That game starts at 2 p.m. in Owensboro, Kentucky. You can catch that online at iueredwolves.com. Also on September 27th, the volleyball team will play Fisk for the first time and school history. That game is at 4 p.m. On September 30th, the men's tennis team, Cedarville, will be here at IU East at Glenn Miller Park at 4 p.m. On September 30th, the IU East volleyball team will be at home at Seton Catholic High School against Anderson. That game can be caught on WETV and IUERedwolves.com at 7 p.m. On October 2nd, the tennis teams will be at home they'll be on the road at Miami Hamilton at 4 p.m. On October 2nd, the volleyball team will be at home against Point Park. That game can be viewed online at 7 p.m. at IUERedwolves.com. On October 3rd, the women's tennis team will be at home against IU Southeast. That starts at 1 p.m. at Glenn Miller Park. That concludes this week's episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.